Was against censorship when they try to take out explicit materials from kids' schools and stuff like that. Then y'all are against censorship. But now when a student wants to record, suddenly you're wearing masks, you're wearing sunglasses, you're hiding your face, you're trying to censor people's freedoms and rights. Like, man, y'all are a very confused group of people, man. Is this SJP giving y'all these rules, or is this FJP?
You're free to leave.
I am, because I'm a U.S. citizen, so I'm free to do anything I want. So the reason why I keep flipping it around and bringing up race when I'm around these protesters is because that's one of their trigger words. If I try to like think for myself around them, let's say I was to say like, oh man, I want to vote for Donald Trump in the next election, or bro, I'm going to watch this Joe Rogan podcast or just anything, they'll always point out, oh no, you can't do that. That guy's racist. That guy's racist. So anything they disagree with, as white people, if they disagree with someone else, the other white person they disagree with is always racist. So they try to tell me, since I'm black, I can't like that because I'm black and he's racist against black people. So I'm just flipping it around on them and telling them like, hey, you're stopping a black guy from moving around the campus. Like, you're always accusing other white people of being racist. You on the left are always accusing white people on the right of being racist. So don't you feel like what you're doing is pretty racist too? So I'm just flipping it around on them because that's their trigger word. And I just think it's hilarious.
Anyway. Well, I love that hair the guy's got. Never mind his message. The hair is much more important, Hunley.
I think it's great. I mean, well, he fits right in, and you would make an assumption just by looking at him, right? And so he goes in there, and he's kind of turning the narrative on its head.
Right. I mean, where is that? UCLA or?
Yep, UCLA. Yeah. He's a student there.
Yeah. I mean, God bless him. God bless the guy.
I'm actually interviewing him on Monday. So
okay.
It should be fun, but I love what he's doing. I like the fact that he's going around saying, I'm a student. What are you going to do about it? I have every right to this campus too. And it's just making it crazy. You can leave now. You can leave now.
Well, it was a little bit more complex than that. I mean, the organization that was going on inside the new CHOP or CHAZ or whatever you want to call the new free nation of UCLA was quite organized. They were running paramilitary civil hand-to-hand combat defense drills in anticipation of the cops coming in. It was what I call now Hamtifa. Hamas and Antifa have merged into Hamtifa, Eric. They've become a one unit. They obviously have political differences, but I guess they strange bedfellows get together to defeat the Jews.
Well, I mean, if you have funding from anybody,
right? But I mean, Soros,
you could get a little bit of advancement, you get a little more training, you get a little more Jews. Come on. I mean, of course.
The amount of money that they had in there from some people I saw last night on Newsmax locally here, they had tens of thousands of dollars worth of unopened supplies from day one in these $300 or $400 tents that were supplied via not just Soros. I mean, there's money, huge money coming out of Qatar. Why we're allowing Qatar, this nation that we could crush in 2 days with a platoon of Marines, to send money to protest our civilization is bizarre. The leaders of Hamas, this is again so unusual that I just have to say it the way it is. They're trying to negotiate the release of the hostages, which are still over 100 hostages. When one of the anti-protesters started to speak about it, actually a congressman who was speaking at George Washington University, which is also under siege in D.C., he was booed when he brought up the fact that there's hundreds of hostages, many of them Americans, being held by Hamas. Nobody seems to think this is bizarre. Again, it goes back to the Iranian hostage situation at the U.S. Embassy. Well, this is the model. What's that?
Iran is involved too. Like they've already
I'm saying it's Qatar and Iran. Yeah.
They're paying for students. They flat out any student that's expelled. Iran's picking up their tuition.
Right. And the footprints are there, and the money's there, and the money trail is there. But one thing I was going to mention is the leaders of Hamas, the top three leaders of Hamas, are this is hard to imagine, but they're in their luxury hotels in Qatar, surrounded 24/7. I don't mean surrounded, I mean physically surrounded by the hostages in their rooms to avoid a drone strike by the Mossad. Think about visibly what I just said. They are not willing to give up the final hostages that they have. They're negotiating for about 90 that are still somewhere around in Gaza. But the ones that they've retained, they're extremely reluctant to give up because they feel the second that they give them up, they will be droned by Israel.
They're probably not wrong.
Okay, so I mean, it's a situation where you got to pay the piper at some point, bro. You can't walk around with hostages the rest of your life.
Yeah, I don't know, but everybody is definitely forgotten or gotten amnesia.
Yeah, that's why I'm making
that there are hostages at all.
Yeah.
Now, here's some of the student demands, though. We're still talking about UCLA. I don't know.
Okay.
You mentioned you hadn't seen them. So this is what they're demanding or their needs are. Mm-hmm. So these are urgent needs. Make sure they're BDS compliant. There's nothing more arrogant than saying, hey, we need these supplies, but make sure they're this, make sure they're that. So let's go through some of these that are fun.
Okay.
Urgent. Headlamps, airsoft goggles, gas mask respirators, especially for our medics. Skater helmets, shields, wood for barrier, knee and elbow pads, rain ponchos, canopies, utility gloves without reinforced knuckles of various sizes, especially for small hands. Super bright flashlights with strobe, charged, umbrellas. This is where I love it. Okay, the medical stuff actually kind of makes sense. EpiPens, non-steroid inhalers, whatever. Food. Here we go. There's some restrictions on food. No packaged food, no coffee, no bagels, no bananas, no nuts.
What's with the bananas?
I'm not sure about the banana.
No nuts. I guess
allergy because of all the babies, the nut allergies. Okay, so we got the medical. Now then we got what I love here, logistics. Last item in logistics, no sunscreen. And that's bolded, capitalized.
I don't know what that means. I just... you seem to have a take on it.
Well, the theory that I heard was that if they get sunburned, they look sadder for the camera. So, protecting their skin will make them, and also, a little bit darker might make them appear more ethnic and be cooler.
That's a weird one.
But I think they're weird. I think they're stupid children who are running around playing like they're revolutionary. And people are saying, oh, this is like 1968. It's like, no, in like every way. No, we're not at war. We don't have troops anywhere dying. Hate to say it. They weren't pussies in 1968. I mean, we have your Columbia student, your favorite one who, what was it? It was demanding.
She's majoring in Marxist poetry, by the way, the one at Columbia.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what Marxist poetry is, romantic Marxist poetry.
That's a contradiction.
Yeah, I don't know. I swear to God, you got to read her course description. It's insane.
Now, I saw this the other day and shared it with you about Columbia, and it's interesting. But
this evening, the NYPD.
Actually, I'm not going to go into it too long, but essentially the majority of the 300 protesters who were arrested were not, in fact, students. Mm-hmm. So this is, outside agitators, infiltrators, blending right in with the students. And you've seen videos when they're like yelling, blah, blah. It's like one guy was yelling at a congressman. I think it was Brian something. Actually, it might have been Georgia. But he's like, you look awfully old to be a student. It was like, some 50-some-year-old guy. This whole thing is
the professors
a
are in
disaster
on it too, and the associate professors and
sure.
adjunct professors, off-campus professors. They're the ringleaders of this thing. They're the on-the-ground ringleaders. The money coming from Qatar, Iran, and George Soros. I mean, at some point, are you going to allow other countries to fund a revolution, a color revolution in your country? I mean, where do you draw the line? Obviously, the line is not going to be drawn by this administration. Which means even more reason for them to begin the impeachment proceedings against Joe Biden. I said this today on Twitter. If not now, when? And I'm sick and tired of somebody telling me we don't have the votes. That's not your job. Your job is to, pass the resolution, send it to the Senate, and begin to have a trial of Joe Biden for these and 9,000 other crimes against humanity. When are they going to start, Eric?
Yeah,
if
I
not
agree.
now, when? We're already in May. When are they going to begin this thing that has been discussed? Instead of going after lowly cabinet officials like gutless cowards, I don't understand why they're not going after Mr. Big.
They'll do it the day before they lose their 1-seat majority.
Okay, that's interesting because
and then it'll die the next day.
I'm not looking at it as politics. I'm looking at it more as your job and your role that is in the Constitution as the only remedy for a criminal executive in charge of the executive branch. There is no other remedy for this thing. And even if you lose, it's not your job to determine that we're going to have an impeachment. We don't know if we're going to win or lose. That's not relevant. You have to impeach this guy and let the chips fall where they may. Now, granted, they may not have the votes, but that's not their job to determine we're not going to do this because we don't have the votes. You got to just do it. What are you supposed to do? Indict this guy in a criminal court? I mean, this is the only remedy we have, as we've learned, Eric.
Yeah, but good news, Joe Biden is inspiring bipartisanship, where even the rioters on both sides of the equation, there is more hate in the world, but they agree on one thing.
One of the greatest videos of all time. I mean, this is one of the greatest anthropological videos ever recorded. I believe that's at the University of Alabama.
Yes,
down in Greg Budell's country down there, celebrating his 20th year in that market down in Montgomery. But the University of Alabama, brilliantly on both sides, have agreed to have one thing in common. And as Joe Biden promised, he will and has united the nation in one cause of fuck Joe Biden. It's just absolutely brilliant. Both Palestinians and Jews agree that they have one thing in common, and that's their hatred of Joe Biden.
See, so there's always a silver lining, and here's our Columbia campus protester. I like this adult-sized costume.
This is the Marxist poet.
Yeah,
the one studying Marxist
right. This
poetry.
this is the meme on her, and
right.
she dissertation of Marxist poetry. Okay. Anyway, what kind of neck thing is she wearing, by the way?
That's the kafifa thing they wear, the Palestinian scarf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they all wear it.
They of course they have her cropped. Did you see the guy behind her in the video?
He's got a weird outfit. He's got a dungaree and shirt crop shirt, which tells me that if he was actually in Gaza, he would probably he was gay.
Be defenestrated, if you will. I love the term defenestration, but yes,
go with that. You could use that.
He'd be defenestrated out a window.
He looked like a likely candidate. Now, this could happen again, as you mentioned, when they're sent to the university in Tehran to because they're kicked out of school here and they begin to express themselves socially. There may be problems in Iran, Eric, socially, if they begin to wave their multicolored flags and express themselves like they do here.
You know what? I will make this statement.
Okay.
If they go over there to any of these countries and wave those flags, I will give them points for balls. Then I would say, you know what? You actually are standing up for a message, because they always like to have the stupid coexist bumper stickers and all that bullshit here, where obviously they can flagrantly do whatever the hell they want. You know what? You want to be brave, go over there and do it.
Well, there's some conservative millionaires offer to pay their tuition at the university in North Korea if they're willing to go there. So it's happening on both ends of the political spectrum now. Tehran offering to give them, free tuition to their university in Tehran, and they could go to North Korea to go to school. So there are choices.
Well, Elon Musk made a suggestion too. I don't know. He might even fund it. He said that anybody who is replacing a U.S. flag with another country's flag gets a one-way ticket there.
Well, that fraternity down in North Carolina has now raised $500,000. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. With Bill Ackman now throwing in 10 grand, they wanted to raise 10 grand and have a raver or rager party. It's now over. It's now over 500,000. This may be the greatest Animal House remake movie in the history of fraternities down there in Chapel Hill. These are the kids. These are the kids who saved the flag. Their statement that they made is one of the most hilarious statements. They printed a press release on their battle for the flag that is so funny. We're going to have to post it on Locals after the show. Absolutely hysterical how they battle to save the American flag from the protesters. But yeah, the amount of money that's pouring into their fraternity is breathtaking.
Good. I'm happy to see that. And by the way, though, I don't know if all the students are feeling comfortable about the Iranian. You just sent me. Oh shoot.
I think they took off everyone's mask at UCLA. Let me set this up because there's more to this backstory. Go ahead. You play this. Go ahead.
That are just watching our kids become radicalized, say things that are anti-American, post other flags that aren't the American flag, say that our cops are part of the.
Look at her. What are you hiding your face for, lady? What are you hiding? You can't get a job on Wall Street? You're afraid you can't get your facial recognition for a Wall Street job?
Yeah, I thought she'd be proud. I mean, shouldn't she be, have a fist in the air? And
yeah, this is not the same group.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened Tuesday, Wednesday night, just to backtrack for people who are out of town, including myself, in West LA, a secret group of Jews, Israelis, and Iranian Jews got together and stormed the UCLA campus and began beating and pulverizing the Palestinian Hamas supporters. There were no police around, and it was a free fire zone of people punching them in the face. The phone rang at the dean's office, and he went into full panic mode, trying to get police to come and stop the beatings of the Palestinian and Hamas students who demanded police protection, which did not show up. The police wisely waited till 3:30 in the morning until the beatings were over and the helicopters went away, which were overhead waiting to film the police coming in. Because they had given the statements, you have to clear or you will be arrested. So it was a combination of California Highway Patrol, Sheriff's Department of Los Angeles, and very few LAPD, because Karen Bass, the mayor, the former Black Panther mayor, controls the chief of police in Los Angeles, so thereby controls the LAPD. So they went to alternative means, which meant Sheriff's Department and California Highway Patrol. The dean of students finally panicked when his students were getting the shit beaten out of them by this group of Israelis and Iranian Jews who live in West LA. This is not like they took buses in from Tel Aviv. They live there. So they must have gotten together privately, because they showed up as a group and began to administer some justice to these kids. And that's when the protesters panicked and demanded police protection, which you talk about irony of ironies. There's,
is this after you defund the police or before?
I mean, their slogans were everywhere. And when the police finally did come in at 3:30 in the morning, they were waiting for them to fall asleep. They were waiting for the helicopters to go away. And then they stormed the place. There was some great footage of some feeble attempts to physically confront the police, and they just flipped them in the air and tossed them around like dolls and arrested them. They were attempting to shine lasers into their eyes and blind them with lasers. They attempted all these scurrilous low things, and they were completely overwhelmed by professional police force.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Oh God. Let me see, what else do we have here? Let's go on with another candidate. You've been taking some flack about talking about RFK Jr.
Is he back?
Well, he's not only back, he's out there, and now he's worked out a no spoiler.
Oh, yeah, what
proposition.
is this? I didn't read this. What is this thing?
Okay. His whole shtick now is he is challenging Biden. He's saying, and in 2019, Joe Biden said, if anybody can poll against me better, against Donald Trump, whatever, that's fine. I won't run. I don't care. So RFK is saying, look at this poll in a head-to-head against Donald Trump. I will do better than him. So his no spoiler contract or whatever is to say they agree to co-fund a 50-state poll in mid-October 2024 of 30,000 plus likely voters.
Mhm.
It will test the results of a head-to-head race pitting Biden versus Trump and another of Kennedy versus Trump. Both parties pledge that whomever performs weakest against President Trump in a two-man contest will make way for the candidate who can win.
Again, all of his declarations are fantasies. They have nothing to do with what the Soviets call realpolitik. These are meaningless graduate student fantasy events in their minds. They are not, they're going to end up on X amount of ballots pulling in. You know, I mean, this Nicole Shanahan put up a thing yesterday that showed Biden tied with Trump at 46%, right?
Mhm.
So I said, okay, they're tied at 46%. She's pointing out that neither had a majority. I said, well, you could look at it another way. That's 92% of the vote, and you've got 8. Have a nice day, which is the way I added it up. There's 92% of the vote gone, and you've got about 8, which is probably true, right, Eric? I mean, if you think about
Well,
that's roughly what the guy's probably going to pull, depending on the market.
it's that he's actually on the ballot.
Right. Right.
So we can't talk about that nationally speaking, because he won't even be on the ballot in probably most states.
Right.
Then now we're talking about what? Well, write-ins. Okay, so what are you going to get?
It's meaningless. That's why I'm saying to people, just ignore it. Ignore this guy. The fact of the matter is, a vote away from Trump, and he's going to be allowed, quote unquote, allowed by the DNC savage law department led by Mark Elias. He will be uncontestedly allowed to be on the ballot where he hurts Donald Trump. I know this is complicated, people. I know people going, hey, he's polling this. Meaningless. The fact is, he was allowed on the ballot in Michigan, which indicates to me and people like Rich Barris that he hurts Trump, as Barris told me, in Michigan. Big surprise, isn't it? That he somehow they didn't take him to the cleaners. I'm talking about the DNC lawyers, and they backed off in their legal pressure to get him on the ballot, or allow him to get on the ballot in Michigan.
Especially Michigan, because Biden has problems in Michigan.
Right.
And Trump is very likely to clean his clock, and he's hoping to spread the wealth, and that'll knock him down. Right.
Now, in Pennsylvania, I think you're going to see a different Joe Biden DNC lawfare. There you're going to see a fight to the legal death to keep him off the ballot. And I'm just picking these two at random, because I think this is going to be the system going forward. It's not, I'm going to pay or get X amount of signatures and walk my way into the ballot. That's not how this thing works. What's going to happen is they're going to allow or back off or pressure enormously in demographic regions where they feel they hurt his candidate. What I recommend is both parties, both candidates crush this guy to avoid this back and forth chicanery. Both of them should crush him. Both of them should go to court and block him, and have him come back in 2028. Let him run in the Democratic primary in an open field and have a fair take on this thing, because there is no other word than spoiler when it comes to RFK. And by the way, when your father dies, you're no longer a junior, bro. That's when you become the name of the previous person who was your dad. What is the deal with this junior crap? He's RFK. His father's dead. He's no longer junior.
Yeah, you can say RFK 2, and that's fine, but junior is weird.
When junior goes away, when your father that you're named after dies. I don't know why this continues to perpetuate itself. And also, I've asked Nicole Shanahan on numerous occasions on Twitter to please elaborate on her Israeli policy with the Gaza, and she will not do it. She will not talk about anything but broad generalizations about the environment, broad generalizations about the border, which is fine. However, this particular candidate, who is a former heroin addict and is getting up in age, could possibly lead to you, Nicole Shanahan, being the president of the United States. If this candidate, as you Bernie bros on steroids believe, could become president of the United States, then Nicole Shanahan has to explain her political viewpoints to the American people. If you so strongly believe that he's going to win, then you yourself, a heartbeat away from the president, have to explain your position on every single issue, like every other vice president. I suggest that she couldn't come near 10 miles of his position on Israel. And that's why she hasn't said a word about it, among other positions, Eric.
No, not amongst her people.
Yeah.
No. And that's part of why I think who is it? I forgot his name, but the guy who said, hey, you should run to her said, no, get the hell off the ballot. And I think it's probably that exact position.
Yeah, he's a Northern California congressman, Democrat up there, who had suggested she get
it's Mo something, right?
That I don't recall. But the fact of the matter is, if she was in a debate with vice presidential candidates, at some point, someone's going to ask her these questions. But I don't think that's ever going to happen anyway. And Trump is not going to announce his running mate until the convention, which is the smart thing to do. Keep the focus on yourself to the last minute.
Not only smart, I mean, it's what they do.
It's nothing unusual. Yeah.
I mean, other than, Bobby Kennedy, whatever. He RFK is doing it, but
hey, guess who got canceled yesterday? Madison, Wisconsin comedy clubs. Michael Rappaport not allowed to work. How karmically ironic that he was canceled for his own safety in Madison, Wisconsin.
Well, you see who else is getting canceled?
Who?
The Rock.
What did he do?
Well, he said I made a mistake supporting and voting for Joe Biden, and now all of a sudden, there's co-stars and people coming out about saying how he cost the money, millions and millions of dollars due to the holdups and problems. Another article has come out that he likes to store pee in bottles, and all the co-stars are grossed out by him. I'm like, well,
interesting.
How does that happen? This guy is one of the most beloved actors.
I never heard a bad word about The Rock.
Nope. But now that Rock, he's not such a good guy.
Damn,
not such a good.
The Rock became a pebble. The Rock became a pebble.
Yeah, he did.
Down goes The Rock. Damn.
Yep. And by the way, this is a fun one too. Biden's getting support because he wants to get the support from the young people, but it turns out that maybe paying them as well.
Yeah, this girl says he
I was
paid.
doing full on.
So you were getting the Biden administration was buying ads from you?
Yeah, I was doing full on political propaganda.
And they would really with what kind of Biden created 10 million jobs this year?
Yeah, honestly. And the funny thing is, they're like, do not disclose this is an ad because they're like, technically it's not a product, so you don't have to disclose it's an ad.
So
yeah, no, but she was also told to never disclose that these were ads. I mean, that's what she said.
And it's an OnlyFans girl. So it's like they're sliding in some really nasty areas. There's also Harry Sisson, who is very obviously so far in the tank, but he's not admitting he's getting paid. But I think they've shown he's been picking up checks.
I don't know who that is, but
he's a big TikToker. I mean,
okay. Well, so was she, right? I mean, she's an
OnlyFans girl.
No, but she's got a massive presence on TikTok.
Sure.
She does. She has a massive presence on TikTok.
Sure. Okay. But either way.
And she's the founder and creator of OnlyFans, by the way, Eric. You're dismissing her as some sort of prostitute or something. She's a multi-millionaire.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not as in-depth on the OnlyFans tradition.
No, it's not OnlyFans. She's huge on TikTok, too. I'm just saying she has a huge social media presence. That's why the Biden administration went to her.
Either way, telling her not to reveal is
I think it's a bigger story than the fact that it's OnlyFans, because they obviously didn't just choose her not to reveal that these were ads. They're doing this across the board, which is a much bigger story, I presume, than the fact that this is OnlyFans. They're doing it with other creators.
I don't know who would handle it, but like if a company does that and they say, hey, create these sponsored ads, and that's going on right now with a camera company, where they've revealed that Insta360, there are accusations from creators where they've shown emails saying, please, don't mention so much that it's a sponsored ad. If you could.
Well, I was responding to a guy in Las Vegas about making a cameo of your support of Joe Biden for retired school teachers and other employees of unions who had retired. And we were emailing back and forth, and it was paid. You got $600 in cash, by the way. And I just so you understand the ground rules, you were allowed and encouraged to discuss Biden's age and make jokes about it. You support Joe Biden, and you have to keep the country together. And it was $600, and it was a special niche. It was supposedly only for people in Nevada. But I just said I lived in Vegas, and we went back and forth a number of times. And and he was paying out the $600 every single day to a bunch of different people for these cameos.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Some shady.
There's some shady shit going on, bro.
Oh my God.
Now, I don't know what happened in Pennsylvania. Apparently they have gone to the appellate court there to do something with the absentee ballots not to be counted after election day at midnight. There's some ruling came down like a 6-3 or 5 this afternoon in favor of open, transparency in voting laws, that the absentees won't be counted after midnight on election day. I have to look at that after the show, but there's some breaking news on that.
Wow. Okay. Well,
the real cesspool is going to be Wisconsin out of Madison, Philadelphia out of Pennsylvania, and obviously Detroit out of Michigan. And those are where they need to send the Protect the Vote group that's being formed by Trump's daughter-in-law out of the RNC. And I mean muscle. I don't mean people with clipboards. I mean, this clipboard shit has got to end. There's got to be some very large Republican and ex-servicemen who are willing to put their bodies on the line at these voting centers in Philadelphia. Yes, I know it's scary. And Detroit. Yes, I know it's scary. And Madison, Wisconsin. I know it's scary. Now, apparently there's new data to suggest Illinois may have passed California in the craziest state in the union.
Oh, I gotta find that out. Well,
in terms of complete meltdowns of a state. I didn't know Illinois was so bad, but
yeah, come on now.
Did you know about this? I mean,
I know that they're as bad as it gets. I mean, Lori Latchfoot, who was bad enough, she looked like a DC comic book villain. And then everybody's like, oh my God, we got rid of her. We voted her out. And then the new guy comes along and he goes, okay, now we want to buy the stores that are all leaving town and shut down. And we're going to turn them into
they're not talking about Chicago.
Paradise.
They're talking about the whole state now.
Yes. But you also have
California's got the whole state. But I didn't know Illinois didn't have a red. I thought they had red areas in Illinois that were strong.
But they probably do. I mean, but there are plenty of non-red areas. Like you also have America's mayor, the super mayor, Timothy Henyard. I don't know if she's in this article, but you know about her, right?
Yeah. I mean, but that's a small town, isn't it? I mean, she's really not from a large metropolis area. This guy, this fat fuck, what's with that guy? This guy, I don't understand what makes this guy tick. I mean, who is this guy?
It's a governor. I don't know.
I know, but he comes from a wealthy family, apparently. He's never seen a sandwich he didn't like. I mean, this guy's got a stranglehold on the state of Illinois, apparently.
So a mid-country Chris Christie? I don't know.
Yeah. Good. That's possibly what we're looking at here. A deflated John Fetterman. Look at Fetterman. Fetterman's going toe-to-toe against Hamas. Fetterman may go over and fight on the side of the Israelis.
Fetterman is just
Fetterman, dude. I'm telling you, he got rid of that honey trap, and he has been a free John Fetterman since separating a little bit from that.
But it's not only on that issue, though. It's like on a lot of issues.
Yeah.
He's not bad. I mean, like immigration. He's like, no, this is bullshit. I'm like, it was, like somebody just said, here, turn his brain back on. Click, here
Maybe
you
he
go.
got one of those things by Musk that they put in last week on people for the first time.
It could be
the electron thing that was a Neuralink or whatever.
The microchip or
microchip.
Neuralink.
And maybe Musk is controlling them from Musk headquarters up in at the North Pole, the Fortress of Solitude.
It could be, but it is shocking how radically different he is. I mean,
Look, I believe the wife. Again, that's when he changed, when the wife sort of dropped out of the picture. And I don't know what happened to people are telling me his wife's still there. I haven't seen her in a long time, and maybe she's had the plug pulled on her. But I don't know. Maybe he's got her tied up in the garage. But something happened with this couple.
Yeah, I mean, and I encourage it.
Yeah.
I would like to see that in more Democratic politicians. Personally,
Free John Fetterman. Okay, I'm going to make two predictions. One is the student demonstrations at the universities will dissipate, and they will resort to Weather Underground style bombings throughout the United States. You heard it here first. They will resort. They worship the Weather Underground. They worship the films about the Weather Underground. They are going to go underground and begin bombings. You heard it here first, my friends. Number two, I believe Elon Musk has to take off the gloves and begin to fund more aggressive, dirty tricks operations to save this fucking country from complete destruction. Fighting with people on Twitter while the entire country is on fire is not going to cut it anymore. Trying to fix the battery on your Tesla is not going to cut it anymore. Launching rockets into space is not going to cut it anymore. We need the money and nefarious brain of a South African to begin to help us push back against these evildoers. And I mean taking off the gloves and doing some evil. It's about time, and he may be doing this already.
I don't think so.
I know.
I mean, the latest move Elon Musk did was bring Nick Fuentes back onto X.
I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't care about anybody being on YouTube or on a channel. I'm talking about physically getting out in the street, having a counter force to this Antifa. This is not going to go away. This is a physical force that is not going to be answered by a tweet. We need physical people out there with these people going toe to toe with them. The first sign I've ever seen of any pushback was on Tuesday and Wednesday night when these Israelis and Jews came out of West LA and began to bring it home. And that's what we need more of right now. I know it sounds incredibly harsh. I know you'd rather pray and vote and keep your guns, but there's more to saving this republic than those three items right now, people. We got to start thinking outside the box and start doing some stuff. And I think that Musk and some other people can begin to think outside the box. And I don't mean thinking, I mean doing.
All right. Well, I don't know if I would recruit Musk as my main brain trust behind that organization. I think there are other things going on. You are not really accurate in that nothing has happened. During BLM, there have been many soldiers, et cetera, who have come out, who have been organized, who have gone against it. They are out there. There's a lot of veterans, and there's a lot of people who could technically
That's what I'm looking for.
That's what I'm looking for. And it's not necessarily Musk. And when I'm saying
Musk is a generic, I
understand that.
Yeah, I'm talking about multi-millionaire money that can fund this thing like George Soros is doing for the other side. Okay. If I could be more specific about it, like Qatar is doing, like Iran is doing against
like the Koch brothers have done forever.
But, okay, that's a good example. That's a good example, like the Koch brothers have done, and other people in the past during the Nixon administration, like Lee Atwater did during the Bush administration. We have always had this counter force, and it doesn't exist anymore. We're not going to get it from the White House. We're not going to get anything from the Department of Justice. This has got to be handled by people privately. And I'll give you an example, and people may not like to hear this, but those hard hats that went down Fifth Avenue during the Nixon administration, busting heads, were paid for and organized by the Nixon Plumbers Unit. And I know that sounds crazy, but you're going to hear about it in our episodes on Dick Nixon when they get into using the hard hats in New York. And it reminded me the other day when Trump went to visit those hard hats at a construction site, it came back to me how they marched with American flags down Fifth Avenue during the height of the Vietnam War.
Right. And by the way, I'm using Koch brothers as an example because they're usually a counterpoint to Soros for everybody who's going, they're not real. I'm not into the purity test. It's in the Koch brothers.
Keep arguing, people. Keep eliminating every idea that comes down the pike because there's no panic. There's no emergency. Keep knocking down every single idea because this is really working.
All right. Well, you know what? I want something funny or light to look at. I don't know if you saw this. This is like well over a month old, but I just thought it was kind of hilarious when I saw it today.
What?
Sage Steele.
Who's Sage Steele?
She was like a former reporter on ESPN and got screwed over because of politics. But
okay,
she did her first interview with Dana White, and like I said, this is about a month old or so.
Right.
What's Joe Rogan's dream?
What's Joe Rogan's dream?
Joe Rogan, Dana White. What's Dana White's dream?
Did you
Oh my God!
think that was Joe Rogan?
I
You
totally
just
did.
mistook him. She's an
Just call me
idiot. Forget
fucking
it.
Joe Rogan.
She's an
You
idiot.
thought it was fucking Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I thought you were Joe
I was
Rogan.
bald
No.
before Joe was ever
I know,
bald. Okay?
I know.
Just
I
did a
think that was
2-hour
stupid.
fucking
Stupid
podcast. I flew
interview.
here from Vegas and she thought she was
Jesus.
interviewing Joe Rogan.
Jesus.
Who is this chick? What a stupid idiot. Just wasting my fucking time listening to this. Anyway, what else do you have there of interest to us? I know you got a well of stuff there.
Yeah, let me see. Hang on. I always love things that are well received. Here we go.
Dude, I'll tell you what's going to be well received. There's a movie called Late Night with the Devil, and I'm recommending it this weekend. If you guys can find this movie, I think it's out in theaters. It's just becoming a streamer. It's kind of like a horror film, but it's set in the 1970s in late night television. It's called Late Night with the Devil. It's kind of like Network meets The Exorcist, if that makes any sense to anybody out there. This movie is a sleeper, but I'm highly recommending it this weekend if you could find Late Night with the Devil. No stars, independent film. I think it was shot in Australia, but it's an American production. Good luck with that one.
All right. So while you're shitting on stories, here's a good feel-good story to shit on.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
This cat was shipped literally, and by the way, people who own cats can see this kind of thing happening because cats love their freaking boxes. And if you don't pay attention, they get in the box. So they had a box, mostly done, whatever. The cat goes, boop, 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 and it finds its way in. They go tape up the box, ship it back. And suddenly the cat's gone. It travels 650 miles away. Thank God. I guess it was ground shipping because that would be ugly if it was on a plane and cargo holds. And
how did that happen? It just, you're about to close it. And
Well,
he wiggles in probably.
Well, because they go and pop the lid up and just go.
And
just,
then she taped it shut.
Correct. And
Okay.
and so and then the cat's in there for a few days, but because there was aeration or whatever, the cat was able to breathe.
Right.
But fortunately,
He doesn't move
picked up.
around. He doesn't say he's laying low. You're saying on purpose.
Dude, I have a cat that will sit there and we're like, "Where are you?" And you're
Right.
screaming and hollering, and then it just kind of wanders out in the room and looks at you like, "What?"
Wow.
So no,
It is a
That's
happy
just-
story because the people got the cat back, right, Eric?
yeah. They
drove
traveled
to meet. They drove to get the cat. Wherever
No,
it
they
was.
flew out to get.
Where they shipped it to a friend, or they were moving, or something.
No, they were returning something to Amazon. So that you know how those Amazon things you just I don't want it. And you just so they go blah blah blah, and then just tape it, and then they dropped it off.
Right. Oh my God! Imagine the guy who opens that box, the heart attack that guy had when a cat goes "Rah!" and jumps in his face and just starts clawing his face.
Or half the cats will just go out of there like, "Hello." Cats are amazing because they'll do the whole. I meant to do that.
Right.
But yes, they did. They literally returned a cat to Amazon, except it didn't come from Amazon.
Right. It wasn't a return. It wasn't like this cat doesn't fit. It was more like the cat in the hat just jumped in there at the very end.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. That's an amazing, uplifting story.
Now we're talking about People not fitting. We covered the Hall of Fame a little bit last week, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh,
And
right.
so now we have a list of the
Yeah.
most famous snubs or
This is for you at home.
continuous.
This is for you at home.
Yeah, and they're continuous snubs too.
Right.
And some of these, one of the most shameful, I forgot until I saw it, but Jethro Tull, I think is probably the biggest
That's
snub on
ridiculous.
here.
Good. Yeah, good. Well, what got me started was Joe Cocker. I found this Joe Cocker album in a yard sale a couple weeks ago, and I assumed, for stupid me, that he was in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then I saw this whole world of people who were snubbed, including Jethro Tull. Who else is on that list?
Blue Oyster Cult. Let me see. We got Alice in Chains. Now they're recent, so it's I don't feel as annoyed as I do in other ones. But Blue Oyster Cult, I think probably belong. The Carpenters. What did the Carpenters do to anyone? They were
I don't
pretty
know.
big.
They must have missed a bunch of phase. But Mary Kay Blige, I guess she belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Cher. That's an insane story.
And Chic's not even in there. I mean, that's crazy.
Right.
That was a type of music. Graham Parsons. Yeah, he wasn't the biggest guy.
Is the Flying Burrito Brothers in there? I mean, that's what he was a part of. I mean, I don't know if the Flying Burrito Brothers or
Emerson ELOs or ELP's not in there. Emerson Lake Parker's not in there.
Palmer, but
Palmer,
they should be in there. They should be in there.
Graham Parsons wasn't he in another project too?
He was in the Birds.
Yeah, the Birds have to be in there. No, they're not on this list.
So this is the snub list, or
this is a snub list. There's a lot of snubs. I mean, Motorhead's a snub.
New York Dolls should be in there with David Johansen, Peter, Paul, and Mary. I don't know. Puff the Magic Dragon. The Pixies aren't in there. Hunley?
Nope. None of these people are in there.
Procol Harum's not in there.
Nope.
Oh my God.
But some of them I understand if it's like, okay,
The
there's
Runaways?
one song, but
yeah.
But you look at who does get in there, and like I said, Jethro Tull I find the most disturbing out of the lot. Partially
There's a lot
because I like them.
Yeah.
But I have read somewhere that Jan
Steppenwolf? How about
Jan,
Steppenwolf?
I think they're in the same boat as Jethro Tull, that like Jan Venner or whatever his name was, said, I will never let them be in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he personally
maybe it's
banned
some
them.
personal vendetta. Television should be in there.
Smashing Pumpkins should be in there.
Tommy James and the Shondells, I think, we're alone now.
War.
Toots and the Maytals are, I mean, they're from Jamaica, but still an incredible band.
Warren Zevon.
War should be in there too.
Sure, yeah. Weird Al. I think Weird Al belongs in there.
Weezer, who is linked to Jennifer Chiba, the assassin of Elliott Smith in an episode that we did. He previously dated and White Stripes. Look at that.
White Stripes are new enough though, because they've only been eligible 2 years. So I'm like,
okay,
you know, if you have a band that's been snubbed for 31 years,
yeah. No, I agree.
I'm like, yeah,
I agree.
Why don't we get the back catalog here a little bit?
I agree. You
know, like the Runaways. Yeah, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time.
They had a drummer who passed away. The Runaways had a drummer, Sandy. I forget her last name, who passed away on my watch when we had her in a rehab out in Malibu. She had a ruptured appendix, or her stomach exploded, and we took her to the hospital at USC, and she passed away.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah, that was sad, but I remember Sandy telling me stories about the Runaways. I mean, real rock and roll horror stories.
Wow. The other big one who finally did get in was Rush. Took 40 years.
Wow.
And I mean, that's kind of a wait a minute, because Rush, you know how they have comedians. I've always felt like Rush was a rock band's rock band. Like so many rock bands were influenced by them that how could they not be in there?
Oh, Neil was a very, very good drummer. I mean, again, this is Canadian, so maybe they have a Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame up there that's not the same as the American.
But that's an American thing. It's just a rock.
No, I know. I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
It could be. Well, I mean, look at if you watch them perform. Like, look, I don't like Geddy Lee's voice; it gets on my last nerve. But the guy is singing; he's playing keyboard with his bass at the same time. I'm like,
Neil Peart knows how to drum. I'm with you.
Doctor of the Cage.
There's also a great documentary on Rush if people want to see it.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And also it's weird because the songwriter is the drummer. Neil Peart writes Peart, I guess it is.
Hurt.
Wrote all their songs.
Right.
Which you don't usually see the drummer as the main songwriter, but he is.
Right.
Was.
That's weird. That is weird.
All right. So you sent me this, so you're going to have to explain it to me.
Maybe I can't. I don't even know anymore.
The Willy Wonka experience.
I have no idea what this is about. This is some sort of festival they had in Scotland that they brought over here. It's some sort of avant-garde theater thing. I'm not really sure what this is. None of my friends can figure this out. People went to this thing, some sort of happening kind of event in a warehouse down here. It's kind of some sort of a rave thing, but there was different Willy Wonka characters, and I don't know. I don't know what happened. It was part of the Fringe Festival in Glasgow, Scotland, for our Scottish friends. Maybe our Scottish friends can enlighten us as to what this was when it was in Scotland last year or the year before. So I don't know what to make of this thing.
It looks weird to me.
Okay.
I don't know.
It was just, I figured it would fit in here, into our Friday time capsule.
All right, well, we're going to have to talk about this one for a few, I think, because it's something we talk about from time to time. The DOJ, not DOJ, is it? Yes, DOJ is ready to reclassify cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug. And it is kind of ironic because Schedule 1 is like the hardcore heroin, cocaine, strongest narcotics, and they're reclassing cannabis at a time that it is its most potent in the history of cannabis to be Schedule 3. What are your thoughts?
Political move by Joe Biden to get the weed vote. That's all it is. It's just a political move. It's one of 100 of these little baby moves, like the thing with the OnlyFans lady, like the thing with the student debt, like the thing now with the pot. These are niche things, not so niche with Michigan up there, where they only have 100,000 voters, but it could decide Michigan. These are niche micro political moves the last 6 months of an election year. To explain it, makes no scientific sense. The people who are the weed people are going to go, long overdue, bro. We've been suffering for years under this draconian thing of reefer madness. Read the Alec Berenson book, Tell Your Children, which chronologues all the different situations that are going on around the country in emergency rooms. But dude, rock on, bro. It's got to be legalized and free and everything, man.
Actually, this is kind of funny.
Right.
Weed vote. How do they get off the couch?
And they just get
mail it in.
They get the mail-in ballot, which is a pail of weed mailed to them, and then they smoke it and mail it back, or it gets harvested like weed does by a union harvester who shows up to collect their ballot, bro. Because I can't get to the booth, man. I gotta just give it to this chick who's showing up. Hey, thank you, honey. Thank you.
All right. Well,
the weed vote.
I'm going to make Mark happy. This is his favorite subject is late.
What? Oh, this one's great. I'm telling you, bro, this isn't even real. This is some sort of AI Siamese twins that I've been predicting a long time. But these two are on Reddit answering all questions, all comers, all the time. I predicted on one of our previous Siamese twins segments that we were going to be seeing phony Siamese twins or phony conjoined twins. I don't know if these are the two, but they sure as hell seem like it.
They
look at that. Look at that. Come on, Eric.
Very Hollywood.
Right.
Come on. I would call that Hollywood looking.
These are two chicks back to back who are thin with a dress on.
Yeah, I want them in bikinis now.
Again, as I predicted, I said this is the new transgender, and the people who are going to pull this off are going to have to fake it to make it, because either you're born into this or you're not. This one, it may be real, but it doesn't look real.
Well, and of course it's fun because the story is one of them is straight and
Yeah.
the other one is
Thank you.
gay. And
right.
and I'm going, so
This is made up. This has
so
got to
how
be
does
made up.
that work? Because I know that I would be very uncomfortable should there be another person. I'm very, very straight.
Okay,
and I'm
there's a caveat.
as somebody
There's a
who's very,
caveat.
very gay would probably be very uncomfortable. So how
No.
does this work? Are
I'm
you
going to
saying
tell
you're
you
gonna
how
try-
it works.
Okay.
They agreed at an early age, if you read in the story, to never have sex as long as they live.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that does help me. That does help me. I didn't
because
read it
I
that
thought the same thing you did. I said, I read that, then I thought, how does this work? I'm telling you, they're going to create these phony. I forget who the author's name was. There was an author who came out as a woman years ago. This is before the trans movement. Wrote a memoir. Turned out to be a complete phony memoir. She wasn't even real. I have to look this up, but people may know. This is about 25 years ago. There was a big New York thing about her memoir, and she was paraded around, and the whole thing was a fraud.
Margaret B. Jones?
Maybe.
I was just looking. I found an article on 5 fake memoirs that fooled the literary world.
Give me the other ones.
All right, the biggest one is James Fry's A Million Little Pieces.
Oh no, it's not James Fry, right? That's a good one.
No, I'm just saying. But
Yeah.
Second one is Love and Consequences by Margaret B. Jones. It's an account about a part American Indian foster child.
No, that's not it.
Misha, a memoir of the Holocaust years by Misha Donoff.
No, not that one. Not that one.
The autobiography of Howard Hughes.
That's not that one. Yeah.
And the Hitler Diaries. Okay, so it's got to be something.
It's something else outside of that. I'll look it up after the show.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh, geez.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Oh
Yes.
no, it's an industry, Eric. It's an industry.
Wow.
It really is. That's why that Howard Hughes thing was such a big deal, because it leads to millions of dollars. I mean, it can bring in a lot of money.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, that is weird.
We're gonna get into something like that when we begin to get into the Bob Woodward story in 2 weeks, because there's a person on his staff who works under him who's going to end up being on that list. So there's going to be some more revelations about Woodward that you've never heard involving other politicians in the 80s even. And also we'll get into it, stuff about John Belushi and stuff. How he created a fraudulent book on John Belushi. There's more to Woodward than meets the eye, my friend.
He's been milking that one thing for a long damn time.
But there's others. I mean, Bernstein is not Woodward. Let me just put it this way. Bernstein is a different guy. Don't forget, Bernstein does the piece for Rolling Stone outing all the Operation Mockingbird journalists. And that's not Woodward. That's Bernstein doing that.
Okay, so is Bernstein legit or not?
Well, he's legit in a certain respect.
Legit-ish.
We'll get into Bernstein, but both his parents were virulent communists, and I mean virulent into the 40s. So he is legit in that regard as a commie. So we're going to get into Bernstein, but more into Woodward, I think, in the next week or so.
Okay. Well, going on with the whole drug thing, we brought her up in passing, but Britney Spears apparently.
This is a ticking time bomb, my friends, as I've said since day one after she was freed from her conservatorship. She's on a death spiral of crystal meth, using with this guy, Paul Richard Souls, who's got a long criminal record. They got into a domestic dispute last night at the Chateau. She's kind of got bruised and battered in this thing, and it's not going to end well for Britney Spears.
The article came out today. Apparently in December, they trashed a Las Vegas hotel as well. And is she the new Anna Nicole Smith?
I don't know about Anna Nicole Smith, but she is a crystal meth addict who's active. And this is where it leads when she's with another crystal meth addict. They begin to fight, and there's going to be violence, and there will continue to be violence until she ends up either back in rehab or in the morgue.
Wow. Well, I mean, the signs have been there. Her videos that she keeps releasing are very peculiar.
Yeah, I mean this whole movement to take away conservatorships, and hers might have been corrupt, but it kept her alive. This is now free fall at this point. I don't hear her fans yelling to have her locked up any longer. They said to let her free, and now she's free. And I had a big fight with Dr. Drew about this at the time, because I remember when her and her mother came to the door of my rehab and didn't like the thread count of the sheets, and wouldn't check into that rehab, went to a different rehab. And she was using crystal meth. She's a crystal meth addict. I don't think that's talking out of school at this point. She's someone who needs to be incarcerated in a facility, if that even works, into a rehab somewhere, a lockdown rehab.
Well, hopefully that does happen. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't know if it can happen, because
I don't know either. Yeah,
all
because
the publicity that went down with her getting taken off the conservatorship, and people being so sensitive to it. So I don't know.
I don't know where this is going to go. But the conservatorship is, those laws are now, they're attempting to use them for the homeless, to somehow wrestle this away from the leftist judges who are keeping them on the streets and keeping their tents there and keeping their belongings there, including their feces. The mental ill are protected by the homeless industrial complex across the country. And until the back of this is broken, and this is a Marxist movement to break the back of American capitalism, like welfare was by Piven and Fox in the 70s and 80s, that failed, and they came up with a new scheme, which is homelessness. That's created a multi-million dollar industry, and they do not want this industry to go away. And that, getting rid of the homeless would get rid of the industry. So they put together a, I don't know, like a 28 unit or 80 unit apartment building here, and it's $80 million, $1 million an apartment for each homeless person. It would be 80 homeless people in an 80 apartment building for $1 million apiece, $80 million. And who's going to build it? I don't know, but the money just keeps pouring in, and there's a lot of empty buildings around.
Wow, lovely. Let me go through some super chats and rants. We've got a Rumble rant here from Tommy Jekyll of $30.
Whoa, Jekyll.
Yeah. Jekyll with a shekel.
Jekyll.
Viva indicated in his and Robert's Law for the People stream that Rumble is not taking a portion of Rumble rants through 2024. Viva's not bad to fib, is he? I've heard that. I assume it's probably true, and I think that's great. I'm glad that I'm glad that they're not. That it obviously helps us out if we get 100% of a Rumble rant, because we don't get any ad money on Rumble. Just trust me on that. Michael Border is a new member. Thank you very much. And then coming in hot, the Dickerson.
Dickerson's hot, dude. Dickerson, it's all over the map.
That's right. 10 memberships. That's like $50 in memberships. Thank you very much. Pamela Clifton is super loyal, even when we say things about RFK.
Look, I am RFK 2028, biggest supporter of RFK 2028. I have bumper stickers all over my car. RFK 2028. Let's go. Bring the noise.
Pamela is a very loyal supporter, and even helped us with finding footage of Johnny Carson and Jim Garrison.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And here's Dick Dickerson back. What are the odds that there won't be an election this November? I got a weird feeling something bad is going to happen and the Dems are going to do it.
Well, first of all, it's not an election. It takes weeks and weeks. So you'd have to stop it before it even started, like November 1st or whenever it starts out. It's like an election season, right, Eric? I mean, it's not like election day anymore. So, this whistleblower, this black cat, who was on the phone call with them.
Yeah, we'll be getting to that.
Oh, is that on here somewhere? Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to pull that article later.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But anyway, that's fine.
I just saw that this morning. I thought it was fascinating. I believe that there has to be payback against these generals. There has to be, at a minimum, their pensions revoked from them. I mean, they did this back in the old days with what's his name out of Texas, the general we did the episodes on, Edwin Walker. The Kennedys took away his pension because of whatever his perceived military thing was. But this whistleblower needs whistleblower protection, number one, which is automatic, and indicates that they were. This again goes to Mark Milley and his underlings, who said that they would not obey an order by Trump to call out the National Guard on his own as commander-in-chief, which he didn't do anyway. But they already had plotted to allow this thing to fester by blocking his future order of the National Guard in D.C. as this whistleblower who was privy to the call and was on the call, as indicated in Congress last week. Outrageous, absolutely outrageous. There has to be penalties and payback for this, folks. This can't be allowed. This was a military coup d'etat. That's what was going.
It's worse than that too, because Nate, to his credit, because Nate's a guy who's kind of a lefty, but he put out before. To his credit. No, before January 6th.
Yeah,
there was articles published that there was going to be a riot. Yeah. They knew that it was published, and they laughed about it. So they knew that there was tension already there, and they deliberately suppressed it to get it.
Well, more than that, it was part of the plan to obviously a bigger plan that we now saw unfurl. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing. There was a lot of planning went into this.
Oh, for sure. Well, it was like Whitmer. I mean, it was very similar. Governor Whitmer, I feel like, is a very similar. It was
a miniature version. It was a miniature version.
Might have been a test, run.
It may very well have been. But this kid, this lieutenant colonel, is a Vindman on the other side now, who has testified and is a whistleblower and needs to be honored and protected as a whistleblower in the Department of Defense.
Yeah, Edward Snowden's a whistleblower too, but.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so the whole whistleblower thing is, I agree with you. It would be nice if I felt, every bit of confidence that would have happened, that he would be protected. So at least he's public, and maybe that'll help some. But watch him get arrested. Watch him suddenly, they'll find things, like the National Guard guy who got hemmed up, and it's funny how these things work out.
There has to be a day of retribution for Mark Milley. Number one on the list, Mark Milley must be physically arrested. Okay, this has gone too far. You have to incarcerate people on the other side. I know it's messy. I know people don't like it. I know there's a lot of things that people don't like. But and this includes Trump, who doesn't like these confrontations, doesn't want to do it. Get yourself a hatchet man to do it. Get yourself somebody to run that Department of Justice so you don't have to do it yourself, as opposed to that fat piece of shit, Bill Barr and Jeff Sessions, who recused themselves right after he took the oath of office. You're going to have to get somebody you can trust who is a junkyard dog. And it might be Vivek, as Eric has said, or maybe even someone else who can pull this thing off.
Yeah, I mean, well, I see Vivek as having, we'll just say, impeachment insurance. There's other kinds of insurance, but they're not likely to impeach Trump with Vivek there, because they're like,
right, or as I said, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Matt Gaetz, or Jim Jordan. So there's about 4 or 5 of these, but somebody's got to run that Department of Justice, Eric.
Agree.
Yeah.
All right. Dick Dickerson was continuing. We got sidetracked.
Sorry.
Also, thank you, Mark, for not blocking me on Twitter. Even when I ask a rookie Kennedy question, the worst you've done is call me an amateur.
Okay. Well, you didn't get blocked. It's a great day, Dickerson. I mean, everybody should celebrate. There are people, weeping right now who are blocked for far more egregious, insane comments.
Yeah, well, Elon put a thing out of, unblock people now. It'll pay off. I was like, okay, fine. You know what? I'll just unblock everybody.
What does he want? He wants everyone unblocked, or?
Well, I don't know, but I said, fine, I'll try it. Let me see what does it count.
A moratorium.
I had, it wasn't that hard. I only had 15 people blocked total.
Right.
So it's like it takes just a minute. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But people were responding to me when I said, okay, I'm trying this. They're like, can you get Lord Buckley to unblock me?
Sorry.
Anyway, Dane Bergenon, the people funding this insurrection should be exposed and prosecuted. You may find there are some people from the 60s involved, pardoned by Obama.
Yeah, I think that the Weather Underground people are involved in this and probably training them. The people. I mean, if you look at Chesa Boudin, his mother was Kathy Boudin, who was a Weather Underground. His stepmom. This is the district attorney of San Francisco. I mean, these are not people who are not around anymore. I mean, these are people who are actively in the shadows of this government doing nefarious things. We need a counter force. I don't know if you want to call it space force or counter force or something, but we need something to go at these people because this niceness isn't going to cut it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I hate to say we need the some parts of the FBI of the early 70s that did go after them. Lady Freddie, would you have supported RFK if he had run for California governor?
Sure, of course, absolutely. Without a heartbeat. Absolutely.
And especially there because you're not going to be getting a right-wing MAGA governor in California, whatever you do. I think that's
no. That would be a great spot for him. And I'll give you an example. 1960, Nixon loses to his uncle in a tight race in 1960. 1962, he runs for the governorship of California, loses to Pat Brown, goes out into the wilderness, as they say in Nixonian language, goes out into the wilderness for 6 years, becomes back in 1968 and becomes president of the United States. 1962, he loses to the liberal Pat Brown, and that begins the dissension. There's a couple of bumps in the road, with Schwarzenegger, but it begins the descent of California into this liberal one-party state with Pat Brown. Now, Nixon didn't really want to be governor of California. He had other presidential ambitions, but he was urged to run, and he did. And he lost that race, and then he gets back into the wilderness. And if it wasn't for that, he might have been stuck in California as the governor, Eric, and not emerge from regional politics.
Well, I mean, California's kind of slipped after Reagan, I'd say, even more because he was in there. Yeah, definitely. Roger Raff, $49.99. Thank you very much.
You're going to hear about 1968 when Reagan tried to wrestle the nomination nonstop from Nixon in 1968, my friends.
Oh, I don't.
Ronald Reagan, 1968. We're going to have a whole episode just about that.
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
Jim Satala. Pritzker's brother/sister is the first trans billionaire. Wow. It's been funding all the clinics around the country.
Wow. Thank you. That's brilliant. I wonder who this fat bastard is. Does he have a fat bastard trans sister brother? Do they look alike? I mean, if you looked at him, would that be the trans version of him? But this makes a lot of sense. These are like the evil Coke trannies.
And we're talking about cars, YouTube.
Yeah, tranny. My car has some slippage.
Yes.
The transmission.
Mark is a little Shawshank today.
I don't know what that means. What does Shawshank mean? Imprisoned?
I know.
I don't know.
Like
Tim Robbins? Like Tim Robbins?
Maybe. I don't know. No, Tim Robbins, there's a guy who's learned where his stance was from his group, but Susan, she remember she apologized. Well, no, she's back again. Just
dude, this is one bipolar broad. I tell you right now. God bless Tim Robbins for having some sort of strength. I don't know how he does it. He's a better man than me, Tim Robbins.
Well, they're not together, so he's
okay,
better.
All right.
That's it. It's a Fetterman. He's
okay.
Another Fetterman.
All right. Well, there it is. There it is.
Big Fish, thank you very much. Carl Burkhalter, Enrico Tario is doing 20 years as a militia leader for J6, even though he wasn't there. Sending message, Soros funded Spencer's Tiki Torch Boys at Charlottesville to paint all resistance as racist.
Absolutely true. Absolutely. Sure. I mean, look, Tario's got to be pardoned on day one. There's no doubt about it. He's got to be relieved and then released and then put into the administration in some sort of job. He's paid enough dues.
He's a weird one, though, because he was also an FBI informant. So he's kind of gone both ways.
Look, my mother was an FBI informant. So was Oswald.
Okay. Roger Raff. Woodward was O&I. Yep, we've mentioned it. Kay McCoy, Hall of Shame. I guess it's Hall of Shame. Emerson, Lake, and Parker or Electric Light Omelet? Oh, no, I guess it is Hall of Shame.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer, right? Greg Lake. ELO is a different band.
Yeah, there's Electric Light Orchestra. Well, and ELO isn't even really a band; it's one guy. I forgot the producer's name.
Jeff. What's his
Lynn?
name?
Jeff Lynn.
Jeff Lynn, who
is a musical genius from what I
Jeff Lynn's
understand.
a genius. Jeff Lynn's a total genius. Created the Wilburys also with Dylan and George Harrison.
And he's like Prince. He plays every instrument.
Yeah, no, he's brilliant and a great guy. And never takes off those shades. I've never seen him and talked to him without those shades on.
Interesting.
Yeah, and not that I care, but I'm just saying it's kind of interesting. I think he's got bad eyesight.
Well, but if you wear them all the time, then you're probably dependent on them, and then you can never take them off if you.
Yeah, I've never seen him lift them even. Wow,
Mo Bishop, how about at the guy that's got rid of the bees through the first pitch? Oh yeah, you wanted to talk about the.
I don't even know what to make of this thing. I've been to a million games in my life, never been to a bee delay. Apparently, we're just about to throw out the first pitch. The Dodgers are ready to play. I was there for a couple of games. The first game, we won 8-4, and the second game was Tuesday night. This is in Phoenix. I was in a hotel nearby, and the whole hotel was filled with Dodger families. But they moved back. See those empty seats? Mm-hmm. They moved all those hundreds of people back because of the tippy top of the screen. These bees came out of nowhere, thousands of bees, onto the queen bee and assembled into a hive. Nothing built in the span of 20 minutes. In other words, there was nothing there. People perceived it to be a hive that was there. It wasn't. There was nothing there 20 minutes before the game. As the game approached, on the tippy top of that screen, on the left a little bit, where the triangle meets, where the three sides meet, these bees assembled from the pheromones of the queen bee. They flew from wherever they flew from, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Started out the size of a football, and then just grew and grew and grew. So Dave Roberts came out and said, look, if the foul ball hits that netting and back, which it always does, it's going to make them go crazy, fly around and sting Ohtani. Or Mookie Betts or anybody else in the stands, never even mind the players. Those people were sitting ducks back there. Anyway, so they delayed the game for 2 freaking hours until this guy showed up in a beekeeper's outfit from his son's Little League game and went up in the scissor and got up there with his power vac, Eric, and stuck that. Dude, it was unbelievable. And they were playing, Let It Be on the PA system by the Beatles. The guy got to throw out the first pitch, and now Topps baseball cards announced the following morning on Wednesday they're making a special baseball card of him. I've never seen. No, Eric, this was insane. The entire mega event just went on and on and on. And finally, we just walked home to the hotel, watched the rest of the game on TV. I couldn't take it anymore. It was already 11 o'clock at night, and I was just getting exhausted from this whole game, which went on.
Play this or.
Go ahead. Go ahead. There he is. There's the guy right there. He's going to go up in the scissor now. Watch this. He's looking up. This is crazy. This is me shooting this off my iPhone, by the way. These are my seats. I shot this footage and I sent it to Eric, but the guy finally shows up 2 hours into the game, and the announcers were just going like, we got to call the game. We can't just sit here forever. We don't know if this guy's going to show up. He finally does show up, becomes like a rock star overnight, and he threw out the first pitch in that game. And then, like I said, Topps baseball cards is making a special card of him. But the point of the matter is, by the time the game started, 2 hours into the game, hundreds of people, thousands and thousands of people were shit-faced drunk because there was nothing to do except for them to drink, Eric. So by the time the game got into the third, fourth inning, and they don't cut off at Chase Field, by the way. The reason I mention this is at Fenway, they give you a 2-beer maximum because they know these Irish drunks are going to go crazy. Fenway's had that policy for a long time. So we used to just get 2 beers, spin around, hand them to the guy in back of you, and then turn back around and get 2 more. And even at Dodger Stadium, as the game gets late in the game, they shut down the liquor. Not here, not at Chase Field. They went 24/7 nonstop drinking throughout this B debacle until the entire stands were shit-faced blind by the 7th inning of that game.
Was it still
Which the
more
Dodgers
peaceful?
lost in a walk-off to Walker. I don't even get into this, but Walker's got 20 home runs lifetime against us, and he came up and hit a walk-off 2-run jack in the bottom of the 9th to really drive a stake into my heart. Never going back to that stinking place again.
All right. Scott Benbow. Mark, on your way to Phoenix, you should have stopped in Buckeye. You could have helped me irrigate the alfalfa/drink beer and rid the farm of gophers.
You know, you got a big mouth, Scott, but I did stop in Buckeye. Okay. I got gas. I got food in Buckeye. In fact, I held out with my partner before I got to Buckeye to get to Buckeye, Scott. So I pick a Buckeye bone with you. I was in Buckeye. Not twice, but once.
All right. Andrew Ho. Funny, no one is talking about unpredicted Florida Jack Smith indictment that showed that 6 pallets of boxes were sent to Mar-a-Lago that Trump didn't request, which conveniently had the classified documents in them. Stitch up any?
Look, this thing seems to be pushed back time-wise is why people are not talking about it correctly. This seems to be happening after the election, Eric, the one down there, based on scheduling. For reason I think this is step back from the mainstream media.
I guess, but I think you say, I mean, if this is true, that's very disturbing that the documents were sent down after the fact.
I see.
Request them.
Right. Well, the unredacted documents really drove a stake through Jack Smith's heart right there in that case down there.
Yeah, he's having problems.
He's having some problems. He needs Lawyers Anonymous.
And that congresswoman out of New York, the one who got the university professors, is going after him.
Ooh, Stefanik, you're talking about?
Stefanik, yeah. Sorry, for going after him directly, calling him, deliberate election interference.
Yeah, bring him in to testify. Give him everybody gets a subpoena. Start issuing. Get off your fat asses in that goddamn Congress and do something. There's like 5 people that are in the news every day. This, you could count them on your hand. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene and Gates and Jim Jordan and a couple other people. But what do the rest of these people do all day?
Yeah, I don't know. Kennedy's a good one.
Kennedy's a very good one. Look, you have to begin the impeachment. What is so difficult about? Nobody's going to hold it against you if the votes aren't there. But you got to get this done. What is so difficult about this parliamentary maneuver? That's all we're talking about. Slap together some videos like the Democrats did, put them up on the screen, and let's get this thing going.
I agree. Got a rumble rant from Scott F. Bobby Barnes is the main henchman. I think he's talking about RFK.
Well, look, he's got to answer for himself. I mean, I'm not going to speak for him.
And then I Care 22 said, any plans for Vancouver, British Columbia visit?
Let me tell you something. I love Vancouver. We're not going to go up there for a meetup. First of all, it's not in the United States, so you're out. No. But I personally love Vancouver. I really do. I've been there a bunch. I'd
love to go to Coeur d'Alene or something like that.
Where is that, Idaho or something?
Yeah, Idaho.
Oh, I would.
Beautiful area.
I like Idaho.
So that might be a good northwest spot. You got Oregon, Idaho.
If I could drive there, I'm down.
Yeah, it'd probably be a long drive. I don't care. A day and a half.
I don't care. But I've got a horse and buggy when we get going.
All right. Scott Benbow. Apparently, you have to be selective in your wording of gopher termination, YouTube.
What is gopher termination? What?
Elimination of gophers through means.
Okay, all right.
They probably didn't like
any
unaliving.
No, I wish I could have been there, Scott. I would have loved to eliminate some gophers with you using some gopher weapons, if that's possible.
You could really.
If I knew you were there, I would have stopped in Buckeye and hung out longer.
You would go for that, right?
I would.
The Pritzkers also own the Hyatt hotel chain.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay.
There they are now. They're at the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, there's just idiots outside my place. I'm used to the sirens and yours. We're having a competition.
All we have is sirens. Yeah.
Okay, we haven't talked about this story, but this is my favorite story in a while.
What?
And it's about the new city of St. George. I don't know. Have you heard about this?
I vaguely a separate city they set up out of Baton Rouge.
Yes,
Yeah.
it all started with
They seceded from the Union.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Anyway, it started with essentially Baton Rouge is not doing very well, just like New Orleans. Horribly run city, terrible crime, school system there is like the worst in Louisiana. So they're actually worse than New Orleans in schools. Wow. And this group of citizens said, we want our own school district after a bunch of violence, everything in school. They give us our own school district. And they were told to pound sand.
Yeah.
So all these people got together, and it's about 86,000 residents.
Wow.
And they said, well, you know what? We want our own city. And they sued to break away into their own municipality.
I like this.
And of course, coincidentally, they happen to be the wealthiest. So they are the tax base.
Oh, my Lord.
Of Baton Rouge.
Lordy.
And I'm sure that you will be shocked that, okay, Baton Rouge, I believe, is 53% Black in the community, and St. George will now be 70% white. So the immediate charges is white flight, etc.
Okay, what is that? A crime?
I
mean,
I don't think it's a crime. I think this is a great example of people who are not getting cared for in the city. They're paying the taxes, whatever race they are. It doesn't matter if they're Black, white, red. If you say, hey, you aren't taking care of me, we want to break off into our own thing. Mm-hmm. This is America. This is a great social experiment. What are the odds you think that the new St. George will be doing very well and Baton Rouge will continue to circle the drain? I'd say pretty high, since Baton Rouge is suing again, scrambling anything they can to try to hang on to them.
Well, they want those 73% to pay for their lifestyles and lives.
Yeah, for everything.
Yeah, for everything. I mean, except for Jimmy Swaggart, who, as we did in the episode, was from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And when I asked him what his address was, he just said, Jimmy Swaggart, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And my manager in the store in the custom shop episode wouldn't have it. And he tried to get me to extract an address from Jimmy Swaggart, who would not provide an address, only the name of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which I appreciated. So I went back and forth up the stairs with Jimmy Swaggart's custom-made shirts a bunch of times. But Jimmy just said, they all know who I am. Just mail them there.
Yeah,
but he might put St. George in now, is why I'm saying that.
He might, and somebody in the chat just pointed out that New Orleans dumped into Baton Rouge after Katrina. A lot of people there, and
Houston,
Houston, big time, completely changed the demographics.
Yeah,
and crime dropped like a rock in New Orleans.
They're big on demographic changing when they're doing the changing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, bringing in Gazans, bringing in Haitians, bringing in
that's some scary stuff.
Bringing in the Mario boat lift from Haiti, and they're big when they're doing it. It's liberation, but when somebody tries to get away, you're a prisoner and you have to stay put.
Yeah, I'm hoping that more cities throughout the country do that. I mean, vote with your feet. That is a fantastic.
Get everyone in the neighborhood to vote. And get out. Just bring a giant moving truck.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Hold on.
Definitely. All right. True. There you go. True gerrymandering. I guess. I mean, it's people who are voting whatever they want to, and And hey, the Mario boat lift was from Cuba. I do remember that. It was not actually Haiti. But what do you guys think? I think that any city anywhere should do this, take the opportunity, and vote. that has an actual effect. Man, if you're upset that your tax base is leaving, well, that's your problem. You didn't earn your money. People should be getting services off of the taxes that they're paying, one would think. So if they're not getting paid or they're not getting the services, then they leave. So, just like I'm going to take my business elsewhere. I'm going to take my city elsewhere.
Look, something's got to give. This situation is out of control, and people are fleeing, for instance, to go to Florida from New York. That's one thing, to move out of an entire city. But they're going to, I believe they're going to seize these empty office buildings that are multi-million-dollar sales now, that were $250 million office buildings in Chicago, New York, San Francisco, LA. The city governments are going to seize them, and they're going to begin to use them as city properties. We saw this during the lockdown here in Los Angeles when restaurants went out of business and nobody would purchase them. The city moved in to grab control of these, and they put in marijuana stores, they put in city agencies. They took these things in one of the first socialist versus capitalist government moves that I can recall. And I believe they'd like to get their hands on a bunch of these buildings that are now devalued or valued at rock bottom prices. So I don't know where their tax base is going to come from. But this is another good example, Eric, of losing your tax base because you're not servicing them.
But it's a great way of seeing, look, they're fighting back. And these people should be saluted.
Yep.
They're doing it legally. They ran it all the way through, and it was through the Supreme Court of Louisiana, and they ultimately prevailed. The Supreme Court said, yeah, they can.
Didn't they do it in Georgia, outside of Atlanta, in that suburbs of Peach, whatever that Peach thing is outside of Atlanta?
There's Peachtree, but that's
Peachtree outside of it.
I don't.
They were trying to form a separate city.
They could have. I mean,
right? No. They've been cock-blocked by Atlanta from doing this. They have no police protection, and they also have the squatting in their homes by gang members out of Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Maybe somebody in Georgia could tell us.
Peachtree. Yeah, I don't know, but I was going to say there's Buckhead in Georgia, but that's
Buckhead. That's what I'm talking about. Buckhead. That's what it was. Yeah.
And yeah, that's the richest part of.
They're trying to secede. From last I recall, they're trying to do what St. George did.
Yeah, Buckhead's like a Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Beverly Hills is a separate city, bro. They got their own.
I know, but I want that. I love that.
Yeah.
This is great. You know what? You don't force people in there. You have to earn it.
I had to once pitch a movie for Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Yeah, you had.
I don't know if there was a Beverly Hills Cop 3, but whatever the last one was, mine was one that didn't happen.
There is actually going to be.
Is there a 3? Isn't there a 3?
There's a 4 coming out on Netflix, I think.
Well, maybe this was 4. This was 20 years ago.
Actually, they just had a horrible accident, and a lot of people got injured, I guess, doing a stunt thing on that movie, now that I think about it.
I only had one scene in the movie where Eddie Murphy walks in to a country club with his golf clubs and says, "I'm your worst nightmare," an N-word with a 9-iron. Everybody cracked up laughing, and that was the end of the pitch. That's all I had.
It'd be funny if it made it. Or
no. If I see that scene in this movie, I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Or the whichever last ones were.
I just walked in, said that line, and the place just broke up in laughing, and that was all I had, was that one line. And didn't have the rest of the movie.
All right. Dane Bergeron. Sorry. Mike Johnson is my congressman, and I'm very disappointed in his recent actions. He is a wimp. Jim Jordan should have been elected speaker.
Absolutely. Everybody agrees.
But then Jim Jordan was a wimp. He backed down. It's like, dude, why didn't you fight it? Just keep going. Keep going.
Yeah,
keep going.
I don't know. But I don't know where he stands right now, Johnson, with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says she's not backing down. I don't know what the deal is. If he's going to get Democrats to vote for him to keep him in, that's awkward, which I think they're threatening to do.
Well, I think he's already working with them. But yeah, you see, the Jim Jordan thing really bothers me, is because Kevin McCarthy, what did they vote? Like 40 times? I mean, he hung in there. Jim Jordan's like, he tried twice. He's like, never mind. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I thought he was a wrestler. I thought he had more talent.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I thought you were a tough dude. Stephen Palmer became a member.
Maybe he wants to be a committee chairman. Maybe he likes that better.
You know what?
He's very good as a committee chairman. I mean, But those committee chairmanships, as I predict, they're all going to lose their committee chairmanships when they flip the House to the Democratic side by September, October. They're going to take away their gavels. About 5 to 6 more Republicans are going to mysteriously retire and be given jobs by cutouts within the Democratic Party, flipping the House around October and taking away their gavels.
Maybe. You know what makes me happy, though?
What?
This isn't a sponsor. This is an affiliation, but
okay.
We have an official America's
Oh
Untold
my God! Look at that.
Supreme Breakfast
that's incredible.
Blend coffee.
We finally have arrived. How do you like that?
And you'll
tell him
like
what
this.
he's won, Bob. He's won a package of America's Untold Stories coffee.
Supreme Breakfast Blend. Now, here is the description, which you will approve of.
Right.
An exotic combination of organically grown Sumatra, Manhaling, and Mexico Chiapas coffee beans.
Okay.
Custom roasted to produce a rich aromatic coffee. This blend gets us off our fat asses in the morning, ready to defend our republic.
Wow.
That's every bag of coffee that you buy of this coffee will help us out. It helps us out directly. Yes, we get
to get through that puzzle there, that square puzzle.
This is a QR code, which I asked them to put there. So if you're watching this on your TV and you're saying, you know what, I don't feel like going to the website right now, you can put your phone at the TV.
So you're saying they don't have to get off their fat ass to do this?
No, they can order it, and then when it gets there, they can.
Okay. Oh, what you're saying that the substance itself will make them get off their
Yes,
fat
it
ass.
will. It is
despite their protest, they will be forced by the substance.
Yes, and
to do things.
It is a fantastic coffee. I have tasted it. It's actually better than my adrenaline injection, I'm happy to say.
Interesting.
A coffee that I drink black. I don't use cream in it. It is a wonderful breakfast blend. So it's not a flavor coffee. And the cool thing is, we talked about it, and how we came up with it is he says sometimes opposites attract. And apparently in Mexico, they use the modern European style of processing beans. But then in Indonesia, Sumatra, they use ancient style. So it's completely opposite, and they're mixed together. And then he pointed out, sort of like you and I. And
I think 2 names of the future should be Frank Sumatra. That would be one name. And another one is Hunley went black and he never went back. If you could work those 2 things into a marketing thing, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But those are the 2.
Comment below.
Comment below. Frank Sumatra and Hunley went black and he never went back. That's a T-shirt. It's 2 different T-shirts.
There you go. There you
go. 2 different brands.
And anybody, you can get to it and americasuntoldstories.com/coffee. It will take you right there. You can scan this QR code, and I'm really, really excited about this product. We've been working on it for a little bit, and I think it's super, super cool.
Wow, I'm gonna have to get a taste. I'm gonna get a taste. Check it out, bro. Do they give you like a small sample thing that you could try, or?
Yeah, I mean, they mailed me something. I'm sure that if Phil is listening, he probably will send something your way before you know it.
Okay, I'll try it. I'll give you. I mean, if it's strong like you're saying, strong like bull, it might be very good.
It's very bold. It's
it's very bold. I like that. Okay.
It is, but it's actually slightly mellower than the adrenaline injection. So I'd say it's bold, but a little more, little richer. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I definitely highly recommend it.
What I highly recommend are these books right there. You see those books? These books are all about Nixon. These just recently came in through the Nixon JFK Book Fund. I can't stop reading these goddamn books. And there's so much dirt in there about everybody, Eric, that we're going to have material for the whole year. I'm telling you, this right here is going to give us material for the entire year. I cannot tell you how exciting this is to me to get into this. And a lot of it I didn't know about. You know what I mean? I was in high school. I don't know. I was busy. It was something about Watergate and that era. And before that, also with Nixon, I didn't really know that much about. You know, Jeff Shepard shed some light on it. But holy crap, are there things I did not know.
Wow. Here's a holy crap.
What?
Anthony just dropped a $200 super chat. Agree with Mark that senior leadership will ask Biden to step aside before the Democrat National Convention. What are Mark's thoughts on the deep state JFK and Biden before the Democratic National Convention? The lone nut Patsy is a MAGA Republican recreating the 1964 election scenario.
Well, I would watch the parallax view, Anthony, and thanks a lot for that MAGA donation. Donation. But yeah, watch the parallax view with Warren Beatty this weekend, along with the other film I said, Late Night with the Devil. But I am sticking to the prediction that I made months and months ago that Newsom is waiting in the wings, as Newsom admits, that Biden admits, as everybody except the Republicans admit. This Democratic National Convention, couple of predictions. One, it's going to be infiltrated by Palestinian and Hamas activists who are going to disrupt the convention and get on the floor. How are they going to get onto the floor? Same way they did in '68 in Chicago. They're going to get press passes from like-minded Congress women called the Squad and their staff. They're going to get them in there. They're going to do anything from unfurling to spraying blood to whatever it is, but it's going to make for good television. I can tell you that right now. I can't wait to tune into this thing. Also, I'm sticking with the numbers being the same for Biden in July as they are now. We could see the switcheroo happen. They're not going to reveal it or give a hint of it. I'll tell you that right now, because if they don't pull the plug on him, you do not want those rumors out there. So you're not going to hear a peep out of Democratic sources about this potential operation. It's either going to happen or it's not. And if it happens, it's going to be probably a week before the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. A week to 10 days would probably allow the press to go crazy and get it out of their system, and then allow for Newsom to celebrate. And there will be voting on the floor of the House. There will be voting. They control the superdelegates. And if Biden can't come to the middle of the ring for the fight, he is going to be replaced. It's as simple as that. Harris will remain as VP. Either way, she's not going to budge, because that female Black Democratic base, she has like an 87% approval rating. I know people don't understand this. They don't care what regular people think of Kamala Harris. They care about what Black single women, which is an oxymoron, care about Kamala Harris. And that is a close to 90% approval rating the last time I looked. So she's immovable. She's immovable. Nobody wants her to be president either. However, depending on how this guy feels, now, like I said before, Hunter Biden had to make a deal with Kamala Harris's camp because his father could drop dead tomorrow. And then now Hunter Biden is out twisting in the wind for a presidential pardon. So that deal had to be made with Kamala Harris. That being said, his father could just die. You know, he could just die in August. He could just die in September. He could die in December. You know, I mean, shit happens, Eric, right?
And by the way, I think you meant redundancy, not oxymoron. Oxymoron is two terms that contradict each other, like military intelligence. For single Black women, they're so common that it's a redundancy. Saying single Black is a redundancy, probably, versus single an oxymoron.
Black woman is an oxymoron. It's like no, that's what I did want to say. It's like military intelligence. There is no demographic of a married Black Democratic woman.
Right, but it's a contradiction. That's what I'm saying. It's single Black women is common. It's not going against itself.
Right, but I'm saying I don't have to say the word single. It's built into the
right. So it's redundant.
Okay, well, whatever.
It's saying the same thing twice.
Okay.
So anyway, whatever. What was it? Got a couple more super chats before we roll on. Jenny's getting inky with it. Speaking of squatting, Ian Runkle mentioned using the Swedish delicacy surströmming, fermented herring, as a means to get rid of them the other day.
That's funny.
Did you tell me the story about the landlord that sold the house and then got the house back? If not, I'll tell it, and you can tell me if it came from you. Essentially, there was a person, and they had to give up their house in a divorce.
I don't
And
remember this.
there was a huge conflict on it and everything else. And they finally said, okay, fine, I will give it up in the divorce. But before they did, they cleaned out everything in the house, and then they stuffed like rotten meat in all the curtain rods.
I didn't know that. I never heard that.
Okay, well, they stuffed the curtain rods with just
Weird.
with
Okay.
meat, right?
Weird.
They
weird.
left it there. Well, then the spouse got the house, moved in. I think it was a woman who did this, and the spouse moved in with a new family or whatever. And they had the smell, and they could not get rid of it. There's nothing they could do. Couldn't do anything about it. They cleaned it. They did everything, and they finally gave up, and they sold the house at a major discount to the spouse.
Oh, weird.
Who
Oh,
then went
weird.
in and took out the curtain rods and
Oh
then
my God,
replaced them.
that sounds like some crazy urban story. It's funny because the smelly car episode was just on Seinfeld yesterday, where he takes the car to the car wash, and some ethnic cleaner of his interior of his car left his body odor in the car, and he couldn't get rid of the smell of the guy who worked in the car wash.
I believe it. Oh, here we go. Somebody's saying it was from a Sybil Shepherd show decades ago. There we go.
Jerry Stahl was a writer on the Sybil Shepherd show. I wouldn't have put it past Jerry Stahl to write that. It sounds like something he would do. The guy who created the furry episode on, I think, CSI or Law and Order.
Okay, well, I can tell you that, yeah, you can get a scent. My father, before he passed away or whatever, he spilled some clam chowder inside of his vehicle and had it sealed and locked up for weeks.
Whoa.
And
that'll do it.
We actually got it out. They have these enzyme bombs now, where when we dump this enzyme over, it's like a bacteria that eats the stuff, and then we literally had a bomb. Close it. You know how you use extermination in a house, like you have a roach. Well, they have that for smells in cars now. You special order it.
Wow.
We put it in there and and then closed it, and it's like I didn't go to that car for a week, and unbelievably, it did get it.
Wow,
it did get that smell.
Wow,
but that was horrible. BTK, will socialists take over the ticket in Chicago?
No, I don't think they'll take over the ticket. They're already running the administration. So they want, I know this sounds insane. They prefer to have a weak leader with a group around them making group decisions. That's their model of government. The presidential all-powering model that we have is what they're fighting against. Trump is just the name attached to it. Keep in mind, Reagan was Hitler. Bush was Hitler. Bush 2 was Hitler. Trump was Hitler. It's the same model that they keep fighting. It's the strong man, independent leader that has, as the founding fathers created the job for. They're opposed to that model itself. So when they have a weak leader like Biden, they want that. They want the cabal around him. They want the group making decisions around him. That's their model of government, and it happens to be the same model used by socialists, around the world. So that's not a coincidence.
All right, and BTK, last super chat. George recommends "Death by Socialism" by Rock, or Jorge recommends it. I don't know.
Is that a book, or
I'm not sure.
Or Rock the actor, or Death is by Socialism?
I've never heard of Rock writing a book on it. I've heard of Death by Socialism. I've heard the term.
By Chris Rock? Is that by Chris Rock? What about we reached 110,000 subscribers, but we're not stopping there, according to Eric. Apparently, there's other subscribers out there in the sea that we're trying to corral in. A reminder right there by that red thing there, and we ring this bell every week. I don't know if anybody hears it, but I guess it could be Pavlovian. If it does work for some people, it could be MK Ultra 2.0. Maybe the bell has some kind of subliminal effect on people, because we did get over the 110,000 hump.
Mm-hmm.
Did we not?
Yes.
Okay, so let's try this again. A lot of people are not going to hear this because it's such a high-pitched dog whistle sound that if you don't hear it, you may not subscribe. But if you do hear it, I think you can subscribe with a lot of relaxation. And I think hypnosis is one way to do that. There's meditation, and some people try the bell. So We're going to try the bell again and see if this softens the blow, so to speak, for you to subscribe to the channel. So let's see if we can make this work, Eric. You ready?
There it is.
Okay.
All right. And since you've already subscribed after hearing the bell, we have one more thing to talk about before we head to locals. We have a meetup coming up.
Oh, boy.
In West Palm Beach.
This is going to be hot. I like this.
This is going to be hot, and it is hot. There are 11 tickets left.
What?
There's only 11 tickets left.
Dude, you guys better jump on it. I mean, when Hunley says 11, he means it's probably 9.
It could be. I don't know. I haven't looked since the show's been going. It could be less, but there's 11 tickets left, and it's opportunity. Go hang out with us, fellowship, etc., and get a chance to also meet with Viva Fry for the first ever Friends of America's Untold Stories Award. Very much something well deserved by him. We would not have even met each other had it not been David trying to support my channel, of which this is a spinoff. So West Palm Beach, May 18th.
It's a Saturday night.
15 days from today.
15 days from today. As Roy Scheider said in Jaws, we're going to need a bigger boat, Hunley.
Definitely. So we're going to have a hotel, a convention room.
Like the last time we were in a smaller space. It was a little tight up in there in Youngstown.
That wasn't too bad.
No, but this is more like a ballroom atmosphere, like a hotel ballroom.
Yes.
To commemorate the Viva Award, we thought it would be better for him to have a much better environment.
Definitely.
I think cops are coming, state police are coming, firemen are coming.
We got one detective and one state cop.
First responders are coming. We've got astronauts coming.
Well, yeah, you've got the cops coming from New York, right?
We've got politicians coming, cowboys, ranchers, gun nuts, conspiracy people. It's a whole cross-section of American culture coming to this damn thing.
And it's going to be fantastic.
You could bring whatever you got with you. Luis Gomez, what's the name? Correa?
Luis Correa with a $10 super chat.
Used to be a Correa on the Astros. I wonder if he's related to that Correa.
I know there's Larry Correa, the author, too.
Right.
Excellent. And Eric, 2024 is absolutely the same as 1968.
It's starting to look like it. They even chose the same place to have the convention. I mean, you talk about the echoes of history, for the love of God. I mean, if they could get Dan Rather on the floor of the convention and be banged around and have that who was the senator up there from Connecticut? You people from Connecticut know who it was. The Jewish senator from Connecticut, and Mayor Daley shouted, "Get out, go home, go back to where you came from, you Jew son of a bitch." Abraham Ribicoff out of Connecticut was shouted down by Mayor Daley of Chicago, "Get off the stage, you Jew son of a bitch." I mean, you talk about things coming full circle. This could be very exciting. And really, in '68, what happened was the 80% of the Democratic rank and file was against the war, and they ignored them in their final plank, ignored the 80% of their own party, and voted for Humphrey, who never was in a primary. I mean, it's crazy to think back that this is what happened. He never entered a primary, never won a primary, Humphrey, and he was nominated to be the standard bearer of the Democratic Party, and was pro-war in a party that was 80% against the Vietnam War among its members. That's why they went berserk.
Well, I totally believe it. Well, we'll continue this discussion at our locals after party, where Oswald is taking us. Yeah, the other room. There's another
room. Yeah, we go into this other room, this secret room, with PDFs and books and everything else, and discuss some of the. We discuss the people who didn't come over, like behind their backs. Some of the people who are over here now who don't come over.
But many people do. Here we go. Somebody is excited about West Palm. Lives an hour south in Hollywood.
Hollywood, Florida, or Hollywood, California?
I hope so. I think it's.
That better be 200 miles, because that's the international limit.
Mandatory. Good God. All right. George Mendez, Death by Socialism by J.M. Rock. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Wait. But who? Oh, I said that Jorge Mendez is the writer. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? J.M. Rock is the writer. BT
but
King is
JM sounds
answering. Jorge
JM sounds
Mendez
like
wrote
Jorge
the
Mendez
first.
Rock.
He's replying to Jorge Mendez, telling Jorge, who mentioned the book, saying it's Death by Socialism by J.M. Rock. So,
But JM is not Jorge Mendez?
no, Jorge Mendez mentioned
Just
the
a
book.
coincidence. It's a coincidence.
No, he's
Wait, are
replying
these
to
people
Jorge-
talking to each other now?
Yes, they are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't roll like this. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we're going to roll over to locals where life will be
completely confused.
more peaceful, and Mark will feel better about it. So see you soon.
Okay.